YouTube viewers. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. This is a show by the people, for the people. And you, my friends, are my people. So join in and be a part of our rapidly growing community. That is the way we like it. In today's episode, things are about to get hairy for the New York Yankees. I don't know if they're going to get as hairy as I am, but we'll find out. And take a look at this. What the hell is going on here? We're going to explore what's up with baseball and slip and slides later in the program, but let's begin with PK Suban talking about the fabulous success that was seen by the NHL with the Four Nations face-off. I don't think that there's any doubt that this was an absolute grand slam home run for the National Hockey League, for the sport of hockey, period. Yes, we as Americans are a little bummed out today that we came up short in overtime against Canada last night in Boston, but what a scene it was, capping off an in-season tournament that captured the public's imagination big time. PK Suban talking about how the NBA, and let's think about the NBA. How much have we heard about the NBA desperately trying to inject life into All-Star Weekend? What are we going to do? We're going to fuck with the format of the All-Star game again. It's going to be 4 teams, mini teams playing short games. We're going to do this. We're going to do that. Trying to just gain any shred of interest for a weekend that, quite honestly, it seems like the players don't even want to be there a lot of the time. PK Suban saying that the NBA could take a real lesson from the NHL.
Here's the thing. Because you're making 100, 200, 300 million, you should be out there banged up. You should be. That's why we pay you, is to max out. We talk about greatness and it being the longevity of somebody's career. I don't care if you play 50 years. I want your best 10. I want you on the court dominating. I want you to go all out. I want Michael Jordan. I want Kobe. That's what I want in every sport. That's the guy that I follow. You're a different version than that, you don't get my respect. That's me, and that's my angle. That's who I am. But I think we got to be very careful on that.
Hallelujah and applause to the hockey guy. PK Suban absolutely dropping a nuclear bomb on the NBA and the players who are making tons and tons and tons of money, but they're too good to show up for All-Star Weekend, put on a uniform, and go out there and at least get in front of somebody a little bit. Pretend to play defense. Nobody is asking the players to show up at the All-Star game and act like it's Game 7 of the NBA Finals. But is it too much to say get a hand up, move over a little bit, try to at least get in somebody's vicinity? If they were giving each other any more room during that game, they'd be wearing coronavirus masks. What the fuck are we doing? When I was a kid, there was an All-Star game every year. And was it the most intense game of the year? No, certainly it wasn't. But was there some level of professional pride in it? Yes, there was. Guys like Larry Bird and Jordan and Magic Johnson, they showed up and they comported themselves as professionals. And game recognizes game. Those two guys, one of my absolute favorite things in the history of sports is how those two dudes from such different backgrounds, bloodthirsty competitors who they would cut your heart out to win. That's what Magic, Larry, and Michael all had in common. It wasn't this soft Kevin Durant, let me find the easiest situation that I can land in to try to go for a championship. LeBron going to Miami and getting together with Bosh and Wade, and let's see how many we can pile up. The competitiveness was on a different level when I was growing up, and they could learn something from hockey because we just saw the best players in the world go out there and give everything that they had. 3 fights in the first 9 seconds in the first game between the USA and Canada. Last night felt like it was the Stanley Cup Finals. And those guys are out there with nothing that they're playing for except for their countries and their professional pride. And the NBA could use at least about 25% of that energy. and maybe it would solve a lot of their problems. I'll tell you who's not spoiled. NBA players, you're making $50 million a year. What's the incentive to go out there in the All-Star game and act like you give a shit? Caitlin Clark's not spoiled. I'll tell you that. She makes about $75,000 a year, this woman, and it's becoming a talking point. Her rookie deal, take a look at this, $338,000 over 4 years. Average annual value, $84,500. She made $76,000 last year. She's set to earn $78,000 this year. She's being paid like a junior high school teacher, and she completely turned around this moribund entity, the WNBA. And she'll never get what she's worth, according to, WNBA agent saying Caitlin Clark will never get paid what she's worth. Because what are you worth when you are the atlas that is holding up the entire WNBA basically by yourself? And I don't care what the Washington Mystics owner said. Why can't we put everybody on the cover of Time magazine? Why can't we recognize the entire league? Why can't we put everybody in that photo? Everybody is the athlete there. Because nobody gave a flying fuck about your league until Caitlin Clark showed up. Is she the best player in the league? Right now, probably not. Asia Wilson would deserve that honor. But she's on the very short list, and she is certainly by magnitudes the player in the league that broke out of the bubble that the WNBA has lived in for 30 years, and she's not even making six figures. It's absolutely, absolutely crazy. She's worth as much as probably just about the rest of the league combined. The state of Maine, they've got some thoughts on women's sports, and one of their thoughts is that they're going to ignore President Donald Trump. At least apparently they're going to ignore his executive order that prohibits biological males from competing in women's athletics. In Maine, there was a biological male pole vaulter who won the competition over the female athletes that this individual was competing against by about 6 inches, is what I heard, and you can't make that up. That 6-inch difference is probably what Donald Trump issued the executive order for in the first place, and he's not having it. Let's listen to number 47.
I heard men are still playing in Maine. Is anybody here from Maine? Who is that? Is that the governor? Well, I hate to tell you this, but we're not going to give them any federal money. They are still saying we want men to play in women's sports, and I cannot believe that they're doing that. They are, I'd love to find out who that guy is that raised his hand. Maybe he's just kidding. But, so we're not going to give him any federal funding, none whatsoever, until they clean that up.
Welcome to the fuck around and find out era in politics in this country. Okay, here's the executive order. No more biological men, no more chicks with dicks competing against biological women. We're not having it anymore. We're not putting up with it anymore. We got a huge majority of American citizens who see the common sense wisdom in that. It has become an overwhelmingly popular idea. The simplest idea of all. How about we don't let men go in and make a mockery of women's athletics? And Donald Trump says, okay, you don't want to play ball? All right, fine. You don't get any more federal money, Maine. See how you like that. No soup for you. I got a feeling that they're going to come around on that. I really do. We're getting back to some common sense in this country. J.D. Vance, speaking at CPAC, had a message for young men, talking about how in this society, and we've heard it said by those around the Trump administration. We heard Clay Travis talking about it recently as well. The idea that masculinity has been under assault throughout the woke cancel culture society that we've been living in. And J.D. Vance says there's not anything wrong with guys being guys. Let's go to the tape.
My message to young men is don't allow this broken culture to send you a message that you're a bad person because you're a man, because you like to tell a joke, because you like to have a beer with your friends, or because you're competitive. It's our message, the cultural message, and I think the president's and mine is the exact opposite, but our cultural message is, I think that it wants to turn everybody, into, whether male or female, into androgynous idiots who think the same, talk the same, and act the same. We actually think God made male and female for a purpose, and we want you guys to thrive as young men and as young women, and we're going to help with our public policy to make it possible to do that.
Number of years ago, I saw a book in a bookstore by Adam Carolla, and I'm just going off of memory here, but I think it was called "In 50 Years We'll All Be Chicks," or something to that order. The idea here that everybody must think the same, everybody must act the same, we must pretend that there are no differences between men and women, to the point that it's okay if transgender men go out and beat up women, if transgender men go out and injure women in competition, or if they just go out and they swim circles around them, or they're the best basketball player, or they're the best pole vaulter, or whatever it is. Biological males who were mediocre at best competing against other biological males, but now suddenly they're superstars. What are we talking about here? It's common sense. It's common sense. They want you to deny what is right in front of your face. Sometimes the hardest thing to see is the thing that's right in front of you. Everybody who's ever been in a dysfunctional romantic relationship, you ever have one of those? I've had a few. And you know what happens when it's over 6 months later, maybe 3 months later, maybe it takes longer. You look back on it and you think, oh my God, what the fuck was I doing? And all your friends knew. All your friends knew. And if it wasn't you, you probably got a friend who's in one of those relationships right now. And you think to yourself, how can they not see it? It's so obvious. Everybody sees it but them. All right? Well, we need to get back in this society to seeing what's right in front of us. And one of the things that's obvious is that men are men, women are women. We each have our strengths. Everybody should be treated with equality and opportunity. But to let men go out and hurt women, and that's what happens, we're not having it anymore. Let me now bring in a man who would never hurt a woman. He is, of course, the international streaming star. He joins me from, wait a minute, what the fuck? He joins me from Chicago. You've encroached on my territory, T-shirts. What the fuck is going on here, man? Welcome back to the program, buddy.
Sometimes, man, the pull to be close to you is just overwhelming for me. And I'm like, I got to get as close as I can.
Well, so I've been told. I've been told that on a few occasions, Ron. How, most importantly here, before we get going, how's Tyler doing? I know that Tyler had knee surgery, ACL injury. Yep. How are things looking post-surgery so far?
Oh, that's why I'm in Chicago. She had her ACL surgery yesterday. Good news was she at one point was told it was a torn meniscus too, and it's not. So very bizarrely, we were all so excited that all she had was an ACL tear. So she is resting behind me right now, and I told her to keep quiet for an hour and a half. So, but yeah,
if I hear any wails of pain or anguish, I'm gonna be like, Tyler, keep it down back there. I hope you gave her some ibuprofen or
So the good news, Ricky, is it looks like you, me, and Lori are gonna go out to dinner next week, so that'll be fun.
Yes, indeed. I'm excited about that. We're going to Chili's.
We are going to Chili's.
That's what the rumor is. We're gonna get the 3 for me deal. Is looking pretty tasty, Ron. Well, look, Ron, let's dive back in here. Maine, they just ignored the executive order as if President Trump didn't make it, and now they're going to get the find out portion of this equation.
Listen, man, like they have every right in the world, because we're the United States of America and states can kind of do what they want. So they have every right in the world to disregard his executive order. They have every right in the world to do that. But they also need to understand, and he just let them and everybody else know, there's consequences. Like, don't follow our executive orders, and we won't give you any federal funding. It's super simple, and they'll make their decision now. If they want the funding, I guess they'll acquiesce, and if they feel so strongly about it, then they can keep letting guys play in women's sports, which obviously I disagree with, and so do you. But it's their choice.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, it's fine. See how much you need the federal money, I guess. I don't know what Maine's budget looks like, but I got a feeling they're going to feel it. Ronnie, one of the things we've talked about on this program on a couple of occasions now is Stephen A. Smith's newfound status, where some people are so impressed with his political takes that they think that he could potentially, it's not outside the realm of possibility, be a presidential contender on the Democratic side in 2028. I can tell you, Ron, there's one person at least who is not buying that and thinks that Stephen A. should, as people tell me sometimes on X, stick to sports. And that just happens to be the legendary Democratic strategist, James Carville. Let's take a listen.
When it comes to politics, he don't know his ass from a hole in the ground. He's on that running his goddamn mouth about how he may have to run as a Democrat because there's nothing left of the Democratic Party. There's no talent. Stephen A., are you shitting me? I mean, you say you're friends with Wes Moore and you say you're friends with Josh Shapiro. Well, I'm friends with both of them. I think they're really extraordinary, talented people. I got news for you, dude. There's 6 or 7 other people in the Democratic Party that are just that talented. So before you start running your fucking mouth off about politics, a topic of which you really don't know anything about, you ought to sit back and think about it and call some people and run it by them. But don't let your political stupidity stand in the way of your outspoken and I think often insightful views when it comes to American sports, of which I think you are an expert at.
Ron, here's my idea based on that. This is my idea for the slogan. This is the new slogan for the Democratic Party. It's an idea that I just had while watching that, and I'm going to put it out there for them. They're free to take it. Okay, you ready? The Democratic Party, we've got 6 or 7 people that are as good as that dude on ESPN. Because I got news for you, Stephen A. Smith. We got at least 6 or 7 people in our party that arguably might be better than you, so maybe you just need to shut your mouth, Stephen A. Don't know your ass from a hole in the ground. I feel like he just did he just unintentionally kind of smack his own party there? We've got 6 or 7 people that are as good as Stephen A. Smith.
My favorite part of that whole thing. My favorite part of that whole thing was him just kind of how he was just sitting like, and you could see the top of his beard. He's just like, just an old man going off. It was like fantastic.
Yeah. Just drinking Bud from a can, baby. Look, Carville, look, the truth is Carville's frustrated with the Democrats because he has always been a pretty pragmatic guy. I was a huge fan of James Carville. Look, when the first election that I ever got to vote in was 92. I voted for Bill Clinton. I voted Democrat all the way the first 6 elections I voted in, something like that. Carville was huge. It was him and George Stephanopoulos that were really the brains behind that. You know, they took a chainsaw to George H.W. Bush in 1992, and a big part of it was James Carville, but Elon Musk is going to take a chainsaw to the bureaucracy. Argentinian President Javier Milei showing up and giving Elon a chainsaw at CPAC. Look at this. Is this still real life? I'm being told that it is. Can you imagine how triggered? Honest to God, like we joke about how the lefties are having trouble coping right now, but can you imagine if you actually think that Elon Musk is a Nazi, if you actually think Elon Musk is a fascist, can you imagine how triggering it must be to see him wielding a chainsaw around like Leatherface. These people are all looking for their safe spaces and milk and cookies and coloring books right now in this country. Look at this. I don't know, man. Elon is having a little too much fun with this. That's a part of Malay's gimmick, though. He carries a chainsaw around Argentina as he was campaigning to be the president. So now Elon has one as well, Ronnie. So I don't know, dude. Like Rachel Maddow, she probably broke down in tears when she saw that. I can only imagine.
You remember when he was elected the president of Argentina, and he had that big whiteboard, and he had like Post-its on it of all the different departments that were in the government, and he just kept going,
yeah,
gone,
yeah.
Gone,
yeah.
Gone.
And now it's like Elon's like his brother from another mother. And here we go. We're seeing it happen in the United States. And Elon also talking about here, I want to go to this on tape. Elon talking about how, we had JD Vance saying, okay, guys shouldn't have to apologize for being guys. And one of the things, how I felt about this personally, as a guy who does comedy on X, which was Twitter, who was seeing the Babylon Bee lose their account, who was seeing other accounts get suspended, things that were just straight up comedy or satire were causing people to be silenced. And I said to you, man, I hope Elon buys this platform, because if we keep going in the direction that we're going, nobody's going to be able to fucking say shit about shit in our society. Elon commenting on that at CPAC as well. Let's listen.
So, I mean, we're trying to get good things done, but also have a good time doing it, and and have like a sense of humor, So, I mean, the sort of the left wanted to make comedy illegal, Like you can't make fun of anything. So then it was like, comedy sucks. It's like nothing's funny. You can't make fun of anything. It's like, legalize comedy. Yeah.
Says the richest man in the world while wearing a pair of shades with his chainsaw sitting a few feet in front of him. Is that you want to talk about elections have consequences? How much did this society's culture turn? I don't want to say it's turning on a dime. It's not quite just like that, but man, it feels like it sometimes. It's like we all looked around and we were like, okay, is it safe to be normal again? Is it safe to joke around again? Is it safe for dudes to be dudes again? Is it safe to say that women deserve the opportunity to compete against other women and to have safe private spaces where they don't have dudes intruding on it? And apparently it is, Ron. And I mean, but I got to tell you, I can't imagine how triggered some people are. The people who really think that this is the end must be absolutely at DEFCON 5 when they see Elon Musk wielding a chainsaw around.
Well, it's not just the chainsaw. It's if you look at everybody, it's smiles, it's laughter. Like there was no smiles and laughter in the last 4 years, and this is just like it's like back to just
Kamala laughed a lot.
Well,
Kamala laughed a lot. There just wasn't anything funny about it.
Yeah, it was laughing, but it was more nervous cackling. Like it wasn't unadulterated joy, and that's what I'm seeing now is just unadulterated joy.
One of the reasons that Super 70s is popular is a lot of the stuff that people like from the 70s and 80s. For the last 10 years, it's felt like those are movies and things that couldn't even be made. People love the Bad News Bears. They love Slapshot. And I've said many times, you couldn't make those movies now. Maybe that's going to change going forward. Where are the great comedies of the last 10 or 15 years? There hasn't really been one because everybody is too afraid to offend. I'll tell you somebody who likes comedy and isn't afraid to offend, Ron. talking about one of your favorite people, Angel Reese. Let's go to Angel Reese's post, if we have that first. Kevin Love, one of the finest male American basketball players of this century, responding to this. Take a look at this. This is an Angel Reese post. She says, I'm going to be a basketball player, model, influencer, businesswoman, fashion girly, podcaster, unapologetic, take care of my family, friends, set records, create history, be the first, set trends, win at everything in life, etc. And Kevin Love shows up in the comments and says, I'm going to go ahead and take the under. Oh my God. That is one of the funniest things. Kevin Love just out of nowhere, just dropping in.
Yeah.
Say, yeah. I mean, can we go back to what Angel Reese says she's going to do? I want to see how many of them I think she can come through on. All right, she's going to be a basketball player.
Yep.
I'd say she's going to model.
Yep.
She's an influencer, businesswoman, fashion girly, unapologetic. I definitely believe she'll be unapologetic. She might set the record for most missed layups.
Correct.
I don't think she's going to create much history. She might be the first to miss 10,000 layups in her career. Win at everything. I don't see that happening. Yeah, I mean, I think she'll come through on some of those, Ron, but I'm with Kevin Love on that. I'm going to have to take the under. Well, Justin Trudeau had to weigh in, of course. That dildo had to weigh in after the game last night. I sent a tweet out saying congratulations to my Canadian friends, but it does hurt me a little bit that this guy gets to trash talk a little bit. He says, you can't take our country and you can't take our game. Well, all right, Prime Minister, if that's how it's going to be. The internet was quick to jump to the defense of the good old US of A. Someone posting Stanley Cup winners since 1994, America 30, Canada 0. So how about that? Maybe we can take your game. In fact, we've taken your game so effectively that the man that I'm about to welcome to the program, the city that he lives in, where he resides, Dallas, Texas has won more Stanley Cup than the entire country of Canada since 1994. So eat it, Trudeau. And it's my pleasure now to welcome to the program the esteemed former Dallas sportscaster and Ricky Cobb friend, Matt Lawson. Matt, can you believe we're doing this? How are you, man?
What do you say, buddy? Yeah, it's fun for sure, and I love the Canada stat. Stanley Cup. What was it? 34? Is it really 34 years since? That's incredible. And you want to hit them where they live. Yeah. That's the stat. Just keep bringing that around. And I want to say, listen, all I saw from the Four Nations was U.S. wins game 1, Canada won game 2. I'm waiting for game 3 this weekend. That's what I think we need.
Dude, look, from your lips to God's ears, let's do it again. Let's just meet on a frozen pond somewhere. Do it like Rocky and Apollo did their third fight. Just go to an empty rink and slug it out and settle it. Ain't gonna be
no rematch. Not till the Olympics.
Yeah, I don't think Canada wants another one, but it was a hell of a game, man. And you're a hockey guy. You used to do the pregame for the Dallas Stars.
They can put you in front of a camera and tell you to talk about things, and you can sound semi-intelligent. But I definitely like hockey. I'm a hockey guy. This time of year for me is much more about hockey than it is about basketball. And I hope people were paying attention to the Four Nations, because they created an event out of the clear blue sky, and it was amazing. And I think that when you talk about how kind of sad the all-star competitions have become in all of the sports, man, you could take a page out of this playbook, because that was really fun. And I think it was amazing. Like, I saw like the Twitter feeds were just full of non-hockey fans talking about that game yesterday. I mean, what a giant win for the sport. That was really fun.
Absolutely. For me, being a Kentucky kid, it's unheard of for me to have a must-see hockey game in February. That just does not happen. I think it's the first time in my life that I've ever been like, look, I've cleared my schedule this evening because I'm going to be watching hockey. But lo and behold, there I was last night. I put off my phone call with my girlfriend. We were going to talk on the phone, and I sent her a text and I said, look, can I just wait until the third period's over? Because otherwise our entire conversation is going to be interrupted every 20 seconds by me going, oh, oh, oh. And I didn't want to do that to her. But look, dude, tell me about your broadcasting career a little bit. You were the Rangers pregame guys. Well, you're a big Rangers fan. I know you and our mutual pal Pete Treadwell. In fact, I think we have a photo here. We do. Go ahead and bring this. There we are. Now,
look at that.
Some people might be wondering, is Ricky Cobb in that photo? That's my big noggin on the right-hand side, Matt on the left, and we're flanking the immortal Pete Treadwell there in the middle.
Is this you trying to adhere to the Yankees' facial hair policy?
Yeah, that's the version of me if I had been traded to the New York Yankees. Yeah, that's pre-COVID Ricky Cobb.
There it is.
And and we'll come back to the Rangers in a second, Matt. But since we're going in this direction, for those who don't know, Hal Steinbrenner, the managing partner of the New York Yankees, the son of the boss, George Steinbrenner, said that they have reviewed things, and basically the too long didn't read version of that message that was up on the screen a moment ago is the Yankees are now going to allow quote unquote well-groomed beards.
Mm-hmm.
And it hasn't happened since 1976 is the last time that we saw a New York Yankees player sporting a full beard. And I think we had the photo of Thurman Munson earlier. There you go. There's proof that it happened.
Right. Yeah.
1976, the last New York Yankee to have a beard. And I'll be honest with you, the only New York Yankee that I can think of off the top of my head who had a beard. I can't think of another one. So I don't know. Does this mean that I'm back in the game, Matt? Have I got a shot to achieve my lifelong dream of being a New York Yankee now?
Well, one thing I know that it's going to do is it's going to create at least a year or two of Twitter arguments about what well-groomed means. We're going to be arguing about that for the next however long. I think I'm afraid to say I think you're probably out still. You're going to need to do some serious trimming there. You got to get a little away from the Grizzly Adams situation if you're gonna get Steinbrenner approval. But I mean, you can make it work. I don't know how they'd feel about the long hair.
Yeah.
They're okay on that too, though, right?
The hair.
We've seen that.
I remember when Mattingly. Mattingly had the mullet at one point, and I remember they made him cut his mullet off. They would never allow me. They probably wouldn't even let me go in the clubhouse to cover the Yankees based on the old standards. I mean, what do you think? I mean, remember the Reds back in the 70s? And into the 80s, the Reds used to have a no facial hair at all rule. So that if you went to the Cincinnati Reds, Dave Parker, right, went to the Reds in the mid 1980s and had to shave off his beard and go all clean cut. What do you think of policies by teams that mandate certain grooming standards?
Well, I mean, listen, personally, I don't want to be told what to do, but if you want to work for my company and my company has rules, I mean, isn't that just kind of America in a nutshell? I mean, you're free to go work somewhere else, right? Do I like it? Do I want to be told how to wear my hair or what to do or what's left of my hair? Of course not. But if you're going to tell me this is how it works at this company or at this team, and there's 30 other teams, so good luck. I mean, I don't know. Your thoughts? I mean, obviously you're saying you couldn't be a Yankee, but that doesn't preclude you from playing Major League Baseball if you're good enough, right?
Yeah, it's the good enough problem that was a way bigger issue, I think, than my hair and beard, unfortunately. Although, as I once told, I can't remember who I told this to now. It might have been Brett Boone. I think it was Brett Boone. He was a 3-time Major League All-Star, and I told him, I said, well, in fairness, I'm a 3-time Little League All-Star. So
There you
I
go.
do have that on my
were,
resume.
Those were important.
Matt.
Those were important. That's right.
It was a big deal back in Cave City, Kentucky in the early 1980s to get that Little League All-Star nod. Matt, take a look at this. Do we have the footage here? I think this is the Boston Red Sox. I do believe. Working on their slip and sliding right here.
All right.
Set up. Let's get a look at this. Looks like... Oh, boy, you don't want to hit a rock. Matt, my slip and slide experiences would indicate that you might take some testicle damage if you go in there at the wrong angle. You don't want to hit a rock or a sprinkler head, I can tell you that.
That also definitely looks like a nicer version than the just strip of, 40-foot strip of plastic that ended basically in a, like you said, in a gravel pile. There's even some sort of stopping
yes.
mechanism there. That's bougie.
Yeah. Yeah, no, spring training has never looked any more fun than that.
Now, your draft is legendary. Ditka had the braids and the dreadlocks and all that stuff, and was it Master P? Was you were surrounded. Everybody wanted a piece of you.
I was doing too much. I was doing too much.
Yeah.
I was doing too much too early. I don't want to say too much, but it's like for me, I was waiting my whole life for that moment to be a professional football player. So I had plans.
Yes.
I had plans of all how I wanted to do different, how I wanted to be different and be a pioneer. And I think I just tried to take on too much too fast.
There you see Ricky Williams sitting down with Tyrus in New Orleans a couple of weeks ago when we were down there. And this episode is dropping 9 a.m. Eastern time on Sunday morning. Ricky Williams and Tyrus. You don't want to miss it. The other Ricky that loves pot, maybe even more than I do. Ricky Williams, a guy who got absolutely screwed by the NFL, by the way.
Hey, OutKick fans on YouTube, if you enjoyed this episode, hit the subscribe button and make your way over to OutKick.com where you can watch the full episode.